Thank you very much for staying. Welcome back to the Marketplace. Two Ghanaians are now leading the implementation of the ECOWAS Brown Card Insurance Scheme as Chairman and General Secretary of the Council. The Managing Director of the Millennium Insurance Company, Godfred Jani, has been elected the Chairman, and Winfred Doji of the Ghana Insurers Association, General Secretary. This was announced at the closing ceremony of the 33rd session of the Council of Bureau of the ECOWAS Brown Card Insurance Scheme. Sarah Josu has the rest of the story.
Winfred Doji is the first Ghanaian to be elected the General Secretary of the Council of Bureau of the ECOWAS Brown Card Insurance Scheme, which had been dominated by Francophones. Godfred Jani is taking over from Leopold Keita as the Chairman of the Council of Bureau of the ECOWAS Brown Card Insurance Scheme. The last time a Ghanaian was elected Chairman of the Council was in 2008. The ECOWAS Brown Card Insurance Scheme was established to ensure prompt and fair payment of compensation to motor accident victims in any of the member countries other than their home countries. The brown cards issued by Ghanaian insurance companies are, however, reportedly not accepted in some Francophone countries when produced as evidence of motor vehicle third-party insurance. But speaking to Joy Business at the investiture, Mr. Jani outlined how he hopes to address this challenge as the new chairman.
Well, the ECOWAS Brown Card has a lot of challenges. Yes, as I said in my speech, one of them is the anchorage of the scheme to the ECOWAS Commission itself as a parent body. We need to have a better relationship with them so that they can support us to achieve the goals that our founding fathers had for the scheme. The other thing is the financial aspect. You understand? The various national bureaus in the countries contribute to the scheme. And there are some countries within the sub-region that are having financial difficulties. As a result, they are unable to contribute as and when they should. You understand? So it makes both the Permanent Secretariat and even the various local bureaus, apart from a few of them, still are cash-strapped. We need to find ways and means, think about new ways, you understand, new initiatives to generate more income for them so they can operate in such a way that we shall all be happy, because the ECOWAS Brown Scheme is for all of us. It's supposed, to promote international trade between the ECOWAS sub-region, you understand, trade and then the movement of human beings to and fro. But if the finances are not there, it becomes very difficult to implement some of the programs that we have. So for me, I think for this 1 year, I wouldn't want to spread, my thoughts, and then effort. I want to pick about a couple of them. How to strengthen the relationship between the Brown Card Scheme and the ECOWAS Commission itself, and how to empower the various, national bureaus to be financially independent, to be able to implement, their programs.
Meanwhile, the National Insurance Commission has already initiated talks with ECOWAS Commission to help address the challenges faced by Ghanaian travellers in the use of the ECOWAS insurance card.
Farmers and other players of the Agric sector can now take advantage of the new Bank of Ghana funding support initiative by the first quarter of next year. The central bank has set aside 100 million Ghana cedis as guarantee fund for banks to provide financial assistance. Now, dubbed the Ghana Incentive-Based Risk-Sharing System for Agricultural Lending, GERSAL, it is an impact investment fund which seeks to address the financing challenges faced by players in the agric value chain. Deputy Agric Minister Dr. Ahmed Al-Hassan Yakubu shed more light on the initiative with Joy Business.
The Ghana Incentive-Based Risk-Sharing System for Agricultural Lending, GERSAL, is an impact investment fund which seeks to address financial challenges faced by actors in the agricultural chain. The Central Bank, in collaboration with the Agric Ministry and other stakeholders, launched the initiative today. Speaking at the launch, the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Abdul Nashiru Isahaku, explained how the initiative would be implemented, reiterating the need for agric sector financing in the country's development.
Agricultural sector accounts for about 22% of our GDP. However, the sector receives an average of 4% of bank lending. If we are to succeed in transforming agriculture and promoting agribusiness in Ghana, then we must scale up financing to the sector. Yet, the perception of lending risk is too high to motivate this kind of financing by the private financial sector. This is why the central bank wants to facilitate the process of private financial sector financing of the full agricultural value chain. Importantly, this strategy could be seen as a way of diversifying the economy away from over-reliance on oil. Indeed, several prominent Ghanaians, including most of you here, have proposed on different platforms the need to avoid the oil resource curse, the Dutch disease, through a conscious diversification strategy. Expanding agricultural production is one sure way of doing this, but it crucially depends on availability of more financing. It is in this regard that using the value chain approach to financing agriculture constitutes an important innovation, especially in this modern era. Of course, the central bank stands to benefit from anticipated increase in food production. Lower domestic food prices and increased foreign exchange earnings will directly contribute to our price stability function.
Deputy Agric Minister Dr. Ahmed El-Hassan Yakubu also said the initiative couldn't have come at a better time.
Rice, oil palm, horticulture, name it, have a lot of separate activities along the chain. These range from primary production, supply of agri-inputs, processing, mechanization services, warehouses, and marketing. These activities are not the same and have different financial and risk profiles, and the need to assess and evaluate them for financing from different prisms is extremely important. That is the reason why the Ministry of Food and Agriculture is very excited about GESA and very willing and prepared to support this initiative with our technical expertise and governance based on our understanding of the various commodity value chains in the country.
Ghana incentive-based risk-sharing system for agricultural lending has 6 pillars, including technical assistance, risk-sharing facility, and agribusiness insurance, among others. It is ultimately expected to boost Agric productivity for export, reduce the country's import bill, and ensure substantial foreign exchange savings.
The Trade and Industry Minister, Dr. Agric Gabra, has dismissed allegations that cement importers are engaging in unfair trade practices at the expense of the economy. Local cement manufacturers made the allegations at a press conference where they called on government to immediately intervene. There's more in this report.
The local cement manufacturers, including Gassam and Diamond Cement, have accused Dangote Cement of unfairly competing in the industry with its importation. The Nigerian company has, however, rejected accusations, insisting its imports have rather inured to the benefit of consumers by way of pricing. Dr. Agric Gabra also explains to Joy Business the local producers have no case.
Unless there have been evidence to indicate that something wrong has been done, and if the minister has broken any laws, there are numerous channels for redressing them rather than press conferences where they just throw a lot of dust and air and express frustration. We are interested in protecting local industries. We are promoting a Made in Ghana campaign. But the fact that we want Ghanaians to drink beer has not made us ban beer import.
describing the position as flawed.
Anybody who has the time should consult the legislative instrument, the LI. You'll find that there's a section that deals with the monitoring committee, and there's a section that deals with the licensing process. In the licensing process, there's not a single mention of the role of the monitoring committee to play any role whatsoever. But if they wanted a banning process, they should have argued in Parliament. Why should I revoke a license that has already been given out? All these companies were already importing cement before the cement regulation came out. The cement regulation was not intended to ban, B-A-N, the importation of cement. It was supposed to regulate. In other words, to preferably reduce the total quantities of cement imported into the country each year. Until the regulation, according to the cement manufacturers themselves, and also figures from the customs, annual cement imports could be in the region of 1 million to 2 million in a year. So if you give a company only 500,000 bags of cement to import, that's a small fraction of the total amount of cement imported into the country. And the minister under the legislation is the only authority, only sole authority required to approve the licenses for imports.
In August, government passed a law to regulate the importation of substandard cement as part of moves to grow the local cement manufacturing industry. The law bans the bagging of cement not produced in the country and makes illegal importation of cement from non-ECOWAS countries without licenses.
Meanwhile, the local cement manufacturers are planning to head to court over the licensing of some companies like Korean cement company Fujian for the importation of cement. The local producers want government to withdraw the company's license, citing breach of the legislative instrument for regulating importation of cement into the country. Trade and Industry Minister Ekos Bugabra has justified government's decision, insisting all such licenses were issued before the new regulations came into force in August. But Chairman of the Cement Manufacturers Association of Ghana, Dr. Dawson Amwa, tells Joy Business they will seek legal redress.
The rules are just clear. The 16-page LI is written black and white. The steps to follow. First, establish the Cement Monitoring Committee. And the Cement Monitoring Committee should advise the minister on quotas, quantity that should be supplied. I am a member of the Monitoring Committee. We've never advised the minister in this regard. So it's mind-boggling that what really motivated this. That is the issue. That is why we have called you here to help us to investigate what motivated this actually. We want to see the end of this. So, like you rightly said, this is a legal paper, and we will not, and I repeat, hesitate at all to take it to a law of courts for interpretation, because we need to defend it. This LI was crafted by the Attorney General Department Office in collaboration with the Ministry of Law. So it's a legal document. It passed through the Parliament for 21 days for it to be matured. So if there's a suspect, so we are moving gingerly, stage by stage. We'll get there.
Yes, so on the marketplace, we're taking a short break here. More coming up. Don't go away yet. Thanks for staying. Welcome back to the marketplace. The Cyber Crimes Unit of the Police Service has issued an end of October deadline to all organizations involved in the collection of personal data from Ghanaians under the Data Protection Act. Already, more than 60 company executives have been issued with cautions for failing to register under the new law. Head of the Data Protection Commission, Teki Akwete Fokona, has been speaking to Joy News and says even though the banking sector has been the most responsive, several financial institutions are still in breach and could face prosecution from the deadline.
To date, we have registered about 600 data controllers. We continue to engage in a lot of awareness creation to raise the level of awareness among citizens of their rights and to also enable them enforce such rights under the laws. Currently, we have adverts running on Joy FM and some other radio stations. We will soon include documentaries on some national TV stations as well. And we've been doing individualized training for public sector organizations, journalists, political parties, and the like, to ensure that, you know, they understand what this law really means and its impact on their work.
Why should anyone be interested in data protection? What does it do for me as an individual?
As an individual, you want your information protected. I believe that is right. You do not want anybody to use your information in a way that you have not sanctioned or authorized that person or organizations to use your information. And that is the reason why data protection is important. It goes to the very core of protecting your dignity. The issues surrounding right to privacy and all and several other information that we give out about ourselves.
So who is supposed to act to ensure that these elements or the details about individuals are protected? Who's supposed to protect them?
Typically, what we call the data controller, that is the person who collects your information and decides how that information should be used. So,
for example, your bank.
Exactly. So if you're looking at going to a bank and then being a customer of a bank, then the bank becomes your data controller in that respect. And the law, which is the Data Protection Act, mandates them to maintain certain standards and to comply with certain provisions that will enable them protect your information. A hospital, for instance, that is collecting your information, you already mentioned an organization, a public sector organization like the Electoral Commission that is collecting information on individuals. There's a requirement on how steps they must take also to protect that information. Organization like the National Identification Authority. In fact, almost all public sector or organizations that collect information, as well as private organizations, and you can mention several churches, schools, media houses, and several others.
All right, so on the marketplace. Now, co-working spaces are increasingly becoming popular in Ghana, and some believe are changing the face of entrepreneurship. But what are co-working spaces? They are defined as a style of work which involves a shared working environment with 10 active co-working spaces in the country. Kukua Apia explores how young entrepreneurs are latching onto this trend, which provides access to valuable resources, skills, knowledge, networking, and job opportunities.
Entrepreneurs face many challenges in the starting stages of opening a business. Office space, contacts and networking, skill set training are some of these challenges. This week, Joy Business throws a spotlight on co-working spaces and how they provide user-friendly environments at subsidized prices to start-up companies and their impact on the entrepreneurial ecosystem. 75% of the African population is under 30, an entire generation of talent currently looking to get their careers off the ground. With unemployment a huge issue, entrepreneurship is seen as the way forward. In Ghana and in many other places, the journey of becoming an entrepreneur can be quite daunting, especially when you need to bootstrap everything from the ground up yourself. Renting an office space can cost a fortune, and many startups struggle to work from locations with hardly any support. Co-working spaces are a relatively new phenomenon in Ghana. With a more connected and innovative economy, co-working has proven to be an essential tool for young entrepreneurs. According to the Global Co-working Census, there are currently 780,000 co-working spaces across the globe and over 250 active spaces in Africa, 10 located in Ghana. I've recently been spending a lot of time in 2 co-working spaces in Accra. Each one is unique, full of different people, providing different services, different vibes, and their own special stories. Founder of co-working space and creative hub iSpace, Josiah Abaka-Kwesi Eisen, spoke to me about the story of iSpace and how it is working to change the face of entrepreneurship in Ghana.
The reason behind this is, again, we did an event about three and a half years ago. And again, talking to entrepreneurs, the whole thing was the lack of spaces. Rent was expensive. Internet was it's very expensive. So they needed a space to work from. So then we opened out this space. And again, we just wanted a space where entrepreneurs can come get the resources that they needed to grow. It's been a positive thing because we've seen the growth of the ecosystem in itself. We're doing a lot of capacity building. Since a lot of people didn't have the technical skills, a lot of them can code now. And then we work on gender equality projects as well. So we've been able to train a lot of females to then learn how to code. So our impact has always been on the social side of things, and you can see the growth in that.
The CEO and co-founder of Impact Hub, another co-working space, is William Edem-Senyor. He says the ecosystem of a creative space works and explained how it is sustained.
Between the interests of entrepreneurs and partners and funders, we've created a whole new vertical in our institution which is focused on health innovation. And we've worked with Merck, the pharmaceutical company, Facebook, a few others to kind of focus the entrepreneurial energy in our community on tackling big social issues like healthcare.
Providing policies is essential to the development of the budding co-working space industry, and the expectation is for government to review support structures available to social enterprises.
Around here, we think things happen by mistake, but most things happen by design. You have to there has to be intentionality in it. Around here, we throw some money around and we think, people should figure it out. So let's set up a yes fund and throw some money here. But there's a whole chain of events that make entrepreneurial ecosystems thrive, and government is a key part of it.
So when you have a supportive ecosystem, everything can be sustainable, because we find ourselves paying high rent, paying a lot of money for internet, when we can actually be using the money to support the businesses. So again, we need policies from the government and other private sector support in order for this ecosystem to be sustainable.
So what about those who use these spaces, the startup teams? How much of an impact do these creative hubs have on their businesses?
The socialization, and it has really helped my company as well with the location and the cost.
It's effective on its own. I mean, because we've been bootstrapping for a while. We run services around, but we trade off services instead of necessarily paying. We help concerning the branding, and they help us in others. So most of the costs are sort of defrayed because we are working in such a close network.
For startups which heavily rely on the speed of internet connection, co-working spaces provide a tech-savvy environment. Founder of Digital Wise, Joe Ajiman, spoke to Joy Business about access to such facilities.
The key benefit is the consistency in terms of the internet connection is really crucial to what we do, because everything that we do 100% needs is online, right? So if the internet connection is out, we can't do anything. We are handicapped.
The cost of working out of such spaces can range from 20 to 300 Ghana cedis, depending on what sort of space is needed. Many of the hubs are insulated and provide regular skills training for members to help improve capacity and value of the startups which operate from their spaces. With unemployment among graduates becoming an ever-increasing problem, and with many young people looking for various ways to sustain viable livelihoods, co-working spaces may become the new face of the entrepreneurial ecosystem. My name is Kukwa Apia, reporting for Joy Business.
And that's where we wrap up the show this afternoon. Thank you very much for being with us throughout the week, and it's been nice having you on board. We hope to bring you more development in the world of business on a daily basis next week, starting Monday. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Riafi. Meantime, you can stay interactive with us by tweeting at Joy Business GH, and on Facebook, Joy Business is our page. For more business news, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Good afternoon and have a great weekend.